Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Pink Table Talk. I'm your host, Dr. Carly D. I'm a doctorally prepared registered nurse, an educator, mentor, and I am a victim of domestic violence advocate and thriver. Tonight, we are hosting Pink Table Talk. I know it's been a couple weeks break. I went on vacation to Mexico, and then I also am recovering from a cold. So I'm excited and happy to be back tonight. This is my favorite place to be on Wednesday nights. So I'm glad to have you all join us tonight. We're going to have another wonderful discussion tonight with another great guest speaker. So before we get into our guest speaker and topic for tonight, I just wanted to share a few pictures from my vacation. It was well deserved and needed. It was my first vacation in about 7 years. And I really, really enjoyed it. I got to swim with some dolphins, eat some really good food. I loved being able to dress up every night, just go out, have some good dinner. So I just had a really amazing time, and it was well needed. I've been working so hard over the past few years, so it was finally time for me to have a little relaxation and some sun. I love that dolphin. It was so cute. So I'm just so happy to be back with all of you tonight. Good morning to those in the Philippines who are watching us live. Thank you for joining us today. So tonight's speaker is one that we are familiar with. Star Davis, she was on season 1, episode 4, and she spoke to us about her experiences as a survivor of domestic violence and going through the legal system with family court and going through a traumatic period where she was without her daughter. The father of her child had kidnapped her daughter, but she was reunited with her daughter earlier this year. Star Davis is an award-winning poet and writer, and she holds a master's in fine arts from City College in New York. So we are so happy to have Star Davis back with us today. And so we would love to welcome you back on the show, Star.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me, Dr. Carly. I loved being gone that first time, and so many people told me you sounded so brave. Like
Yes.
coming from all of that, you were able to speak on it without there being this residue of pain or trauma. And I was really encouraged by that. So it feels good to be back here.
Yes, and I'm so happy to have you. And I'm so excited to hear how you and Heavenlyn are doing. Is there anything new and exciting in your lives going on? Tell
Yeah.
us, give us some updates.
Evelyn just started pre-K, so
Aw.
it's interesting because when she first came home, I was like, "All right, we got to get back into a routine. We got to get ourselves back."
Yes.
She is thriving. She's thriving in school. I actually just got a progress report from her teacher who said, Hevelyn is an excellent writer. She does not
Aw.
need the tracing paper. She doesn't need the dotted lines. She knows exactly how to write perfectly straight. I was like, that sounds like my kid. So
Yeah, like mother, like daughter.
I'm like, good. um, and Hevelyn will be a big sister. So
Yay! Oh my gosh.
yeah,
Okay.
I just turned 6 months pregnant and we are having a baby boy. So
Oh, congrats.
I'm so
Oh,
happy. Life is just fruitful right now. It's extremely fruitful. God is good and we're really blessed right
yes.
now. We're so ready for the holidays together.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, I'm so happy to hear that. From when I met you to now, I'm just so amazed and awed at God has done for you and your life, and I'm just so happy, and it just makes my heart so light to hear your good news and to see you guys just thriving and just living normal,
Yeah,
just the normal stuff, like getting up
absolutely.
first. Yeah, school.
Sorry, my dog doesn't leave my side. I'm so sorry.
Oh, that's fine. He just wants to be on the show. That's okay. Yeah, he wants his 15 minutes of fame. That's fine. He's welcome. Next time you got to wear pink though, buddy.
Oh yes,
Yeah,
yes, and
got
I
to get
have my pink. I actually bought a pink sweater for this podcast, so I was rushing to get home today.
It's fine. It's
Yeah.
okay. You are forgiven now. So I'm just so happy and delighted, that you guys are doing well and, things are getting to your sense of normal. I
Yeah.
know it's only been 7 months home with her, but I'm just so happy to see that you guys are doing so well. And so I'm wishing you also a happy, healthy delivery
Yeah.
and, on a beautiful baby boy.
Thank you.
Yes. So I saw your article. You sent it to me and I read it. And I thought, wow, this is just such an amazing article. This is something that, needs to be talked about, that needs to be discussed, especially in our community. Um, I just thought it was such a profound article and it really touched me. I found myself having to read it in pieces because there was just some moments in there that was just so deep and it resonated with me so much. So can you tell us what inspired you to write this article? What is toxic motherhood?
Yeah. Ooh, okay. So,
Diving right on in.
yes, jumping right in. Oh, I'm so excited to be this vulnerable and blunt tonight. Um, when my daughter came home, I realized that it didn't just affect me; it affected my community. I leaned on community for support. Obviously, I couldn't make it through that time alone. I could not make it through that legal battle or just her overall disappearance. I couldn't make it through that alone. So her coming home, obviously everyone, my mother especially, was affected by that. And I think oftentimes we don't realize how much we police each other
Yes.
when we're in community.
Mhm.
So not only were people happy for me, but they
Mhm.
were also very afraid for me
Yes.
to just pick motherhood back up, almost
Mhm.
like, are you sure you got it this time? Is
Yes.
she home for good? Do you know what you're doing?
Yes.
And these are all biases and these
Mm.
are all stereotypes, honestly. When
Yes.
people would encounter me in public and I didn't have my child with me, but I would mention I'm a mother and they
Yes.
don't see her, it was
Yes.
automatic. What did you do wrong? Where's your
Mm.
child?
Yes.
Fathers don't have that type of
Yes.
social battle.
Yeah.
It is the
Absolutely.
mother that has to battle these socialisms, and they were really hard to navigate. So
Yeah.
when she came home, I was definitely overwhelmed because there was a lack of faith that my community initially had, and
Mm.
um, the person I chose to focus on was my mother because our
Mhm.
relationship actually became estranged from
Mm.
my daughter coming home, which
Wow.
was completely I was thrown off by the fact that she was actually angry with me.
Yeah.
It was almost like, I'm happy she's back. I'm glad she's safe, but she'd almost be safer with me than she was with you because I
Mm.
never lost my kids before.
Oh.
No one's ever taken me before,
Yeah.
so it's almost like there's an inadequacy now, or a stigma
Mm.
of inadequacy that I carry between my mother and I, and it's a bit unforgiving. So
Wow.
we're kind of stuck in a hard place. I think I mentioned the last time that I've moved on. I've found love. Obviously, I'm 6 months. So
Yes.
there was a lot surrounding what moving on looked like and whether moving on was too soon.
Yes.
So due to the space and the boundaries that I've had to set to kind of protect myself, me and my mother have grown estranged, and uh,
Mm.
I kind of had to put my own health first, and I had to put my child first. Go, mama. You need to go use the bathroom? Go use it. Sorry.
No, it's fine. She got her pink on.
I had to go inward and go, you know what? I'm gonna put myself first. I'm gonna put my baby girl first, and I'm gonna kind of move all the distractions. And that felt really hard to do because a lot of folks, especially a grandparent, feels entitled to that position in their grandchild's life. But I had to go. I'm a new mom. Like, I was without my child for a year. So I almost had to be selfish and go, she's home with me, and I have to reestablish what home looks like.
Yes.
And my mother has never faced those things. And so when I entered into this space of writing the article, I decided that I had to label it as toxic motherhood
Yeah.
because it's not protective.
Mm.
Policing is not protective.
Yeah.
Discouraging your children is not loving.
Right.
Being unforgiven or having an unforgiving nature is also not loving.
Mm.
I have to kind of brave these words, and I have to face them because I
Mm.
think for so long I thought policing was love. I thought protectiveness was love. I'm a
Mm.
domestic violence victim. I thought manipulation was love.
Yeah.
These were familiar things to me. Um,
Mm.
Control and the
Wow.
idea of control was normalized for me as a child,
Yeah.
which led me to fall in love with an abusive personality.
Yeah.
And so I have to kind of now remove the mask.
Yes.
This is toxic, and I'm going to erase this by being soft, by being loving, um, by being a nurturer, by being a mother, or what my idea of mothering is, and call it gentle parenting. I don't know these words folks want to use, but I think this is me just being a mother again, and trying to make sure that my child has agency and safety in knowing I'm here. Other folks might not be around right now, but it's just us. And it
Yeah.
was always just us.
Yeah.
Home for her is me, my body, my presence. She's still a little girl.
Yeah.
So my presence and my body, our skin, when we touch, all of those things still matter right now to her.
Yes. Wow. That's so amazing. And that's so beautiful. We're going to go into our first break of the evening, but we're going to be back more on this hot discussion with Star Davis.
Join us for a captivating new series where Lon sits down with the trailblazers of the music and entertainment world. Discover the stories behind the faces and voices that shape our culture and community.
We will bring you exclusive interviews with industry legends and rising stars. Behind the scenes insights and get a peek into the creative processes and personal journeys. Artists and performers and their upcoming shows and events.
Stay tuned for more updates and sneak peeks. Follow us on social media and subscribe to our channel.
Beyond Health and Wellness Dr. Rich and Nurse MJ. Let's explore the journey to holistic well-being. Listen to insights that inspire a healthier, happier life uncovered. Empower yourself. Take charge of your well-being. Whether you're looking for tips on nutrition, mental health, or fitness, this show is for you. Beyond Health and Wellness. Every Friday 8 p.m. Central Time, that's Saturday 10 a.m. Philippines. Tune in.
All right, everyone, welcome back to Pink Table Talk. I'm your host, Dr. Carly D. Tonight we have our special guest, Star Davis. The show is produced by Law and Media Network, and you can watch us live every Wednesday night at 7 p.m. Central or 8 o'clock Eastern on Facebook Live or on our YouTube channel. And if you can't catch us live, you can catch us on one of our 15 different podcast platforms. Actually, I think it's more than that now. I think we added a few more podcast channels. So definitely check us out and listen to these hot topics. So before we went on break, we talked about toxic motherhood and what it means. Star Davis wrote an amazing article. I suggest you all read it when you have some time. So, Star, I wanted to ask you, do you feel that the toxic motherhood predominantly affects the African American community, mainly African American women?
I do, because aside from what I went through, I do a lot of social justice work. So
Yeah.
a lot of what I write about, and a lot of what I've devoted my life to is talking about um, Black mothers and fathers in the carceral system.
Yeah.
So when you look at the rate of Black mothers in the carceral system, most Black women in the carceral system are arrested under child abuse
Yeah.
charges and
Yeah.
things regarding mental health, and
Yes.
all of these things. That could be a whole nother deeper discussion, but just to get it down to the nuts and bolts, Black women have carried a torch of carrying so much and being expected to deliver at a level of excellency that folks want to call it Black girl magic. People want to call it being supernatural, but it really is unrealistic, the standards we have to live up to.
Yes. Yes.
And
Absolutely.
um, yeah, especially as single mothers.
Yes. Oh, it's even harder. Even harder. The expectation is tenfold.
It's ridiculous. And I actually adore my mother. And when I look back at the article, someone told me, "I love how you talk about your mother with so much grace. You're not even pulling her down in this piece." And I went, "Well, I can't, because I I understand her and I love her. She did the best she could, but she's bitter, and she's dealing with her bitterness. She's dealing with her pain, her traumas. I also could have resurfaced some of those things for her. I mean, I'm one of her only daughters who've ever experienced a level of trauma this high.
Yeah.
Knows how to, you never know until you know how to deal with stuff like this. We
Yeah.
didn't know. We still don't know.
Yeah,
Definitely
it's
say,
true.
yeah,
Yeah.
Black mothers, we
Taught.
have it tough. Yeah, we have it
Yes.
tough.
And we weren't really taught how to be mothers. We just kind of followed in their example of that same tough love, that same tough, just they were strong. They had to be strong and they had to be silent, And so we kind of followed in that same pattern.
Absolutely.
There's a quote from your article that really touched me. There's several quotes, but the first one is, you said, "I was a 30-year-old single woman, a victim of a victim."
Hmm.
Can you tell us what inspired that? What was the story behind that?
Yeah, that line, I'm actually trying to express that when I had my daughter and I entered into that abusive partnership, I understood immediately that my ex, though we can label him multiple things, he
Yes.
was also a victim. He was a victim of child abandonment. He
Wow.
was a victim of child abuse.
Wow.
Um, he was a victim of poverty.
Mm.
I
Wow.
knew where his pain was rooted in. Narcissists are people who are trying to exert high levels of control. Well, that's because they were highly abused and
Wow.
traumatized from something.
Wow.
So I saw him and I already knew who he was, but I just knew we weren't going to be safe together, that wasn't going to be a long-term solution.
Yes. Wow. Yeah, it just spoke out to me, because the victim of a victim, because oftentimes we villainize our abusers, but once you get down into the psychology of it, you understand that, just like you said too, they are also victims who are acting out, who are being triggered, and that's why it becomes such a vicious cycle. And it's kind of like two pieces of a puzzle, kind of you're coming with your traumas and their traumas, and they just kind of go together and it becomes explosive. And
That's right.
so
That's right. You hit it.
yes, and so that's why, even for myself, I spent a lot of years just kind of working on that, because I noticed after a pattern of like bad relationships, it's like you can't always say it's the other person. You can't always say, oh, it's just them. Oh, you're just picking bad people. It's like, no, what is it in me? What is it that I have to see in myself? And then I
Yes,
realized, yeah, I had an abusive past, abusive upbringing. And so you have to then work on that. You have to work on your own traumas. So that way, then you can become healthy and then find somebody else who is also healthy.
absolutely, absolutely. And it's an interesting riddle hidden in this article that I picked up on, which is something that came to me in therapy, which is that my mother and my abuser had something in common.
Yeah.
And that was hard for me to accept in therapy, but I had to get to the root of how did I end up there? How
Yes.
did we get here? And it all went back to the beginning. It went back.
Yes.
It went back to being a child of a scorned person. It went
Mm.
back to my beginning. It went back to my roots. So
Yes.
yeah, it's really hard to admit that, not trying to villainize my mother in any way, but there's those characteristics of control. I hate how sometimes we try to compartmentalize and go, oh, well, of course my mom's controlling. It's my mom.
And especially for a black mom, that's like
Yeah,
almost expected.
exactly. But I finally had to go, this isn't okay. This
Yeah.
because I saw those same characteristics in someone else and it nearly killed me. It
Yes.
nearly killed us. Oh, I have to draw the line.
Yes. You're a cycle breaker.
Yes. Oh
Yeah.
God. It's not for
Uh,
the faint of heart.
Yes. Last season we also had Coach Dion, who is a counselor and life coach, and her specialty is in narcissism and narcissistic abuse. And when she was on the show, and also in doing my own research on narcissism, what I've come across is they also have this weird relationship with their mothers.
Mm,
Whereas their victims tend to have a poor relationship with their mothers, narcissists actually have a contrast to that. So they're actually like very spoiled by their mothers, and
mm,
they're seen as like the golden child. So
wow.
whereas the victims may have been neglected or suffered other traumatic wounds from their mother, the narcissist has a different relationship with the mother. And so that's kind of, we inherently, like, we want that. We wanted our mothers to put us on that pedestal like they are. And so it's this contrasted relationship that we're also kind of seeking, and we're trying to heal our own childhood wound with that relationship.
Yes.
So I thought that was just so interesting, that it all starts with the mothers.
Yes. Unfortunately so. Yes.
Yes. So in a way, that's also toxic motherhood. When they overly spoil the child, they put the child on a pedestal, or maybe they parentify the child. A lot of times, especially with male children, if there's no father in the home, the mother kind of makes the son like their dad. It's like
Mhm.
that's her partner. And
Yeah.
yeah, so a lot of the women who were in these relationships, they're like, oh, the mom is always there.
And I want to almost take it a step further, because I think what I was trying to pinpoint in my article, which feels toxic to me, is almost a mother who will place her children into survival mode,
Yes,
a little too soon.
yes,
I
yes,
just remember feeling very mature, extremely young. And
yes.
I remember not having a choice whether I
Mhm.
knew right from wrong. I remember not having a choice growing up. You know, there's, I understand there's moments where, it's time for a parent to instill responsibility and things of that nature. But, my mom, again, going back to being a single mom who also had regrets, she was also a woman struggling with like her position in life. She almost placed my sisters and I in a position to find our identities extremely early, because she couldn't covet nurturing a nurturing intimacy with any of us. She had no
Mm,
intimacy to give. She had no love to give. But what she did have was, I can give you a means to survive, which
yeah,
means you need to grow up and know how to watch yourself, learn how to cook, learn how to make some food for yourself when I'm not here, know how to be on your own because I'm not going to be around. And that came really, really, really early, to
yeah,
the point where I don't ask for help.
yeah,
I'm an overachiever.
yeah,
I'm terrified to be impoverished. I'm terrified to go without, So I've had to make strides, and I've gone above and beyond, breaking my neck to make sure, you know, I don't starve. My child doesn't starve,
mm,
and entering into the family court system,
ugh,
you can't not look good on paper.
yeah,
I have She has
yes,
to have a bed, clothes. She has to look clean. Like, these are all things now that are, again, going back to Black women having almost this added pressure, and it's just like, of course, this is your child. They need to be put together and your life should be somewhat decent. But these are hard things to monitor when you're just doing it by yourself. So, yeah, it's a lot.
yeah. No, you're so right, and that's why I said I feel like this is something, especially in our community. Are kind of like you said, taught to be like the survivor. And it's like we're always in survivor mode, and we're
Yes.
always just kind of burning in that energy, which is why I feel that we are so mentally drained and exhausted. Because
Oh,
we're
yes.
we are always trying to prove to society, prove to our families, prove to our spouses, you know, prove to the job, to everybody that we are that all in one woman, that we can do
Mm,
it all,
yeah.
and we do it all and with no problem. And that's toxic also, because um, to be a woman, it's okay to be in our soft energy. Like you said, it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to need others. And it's something that, as a cycle breaker, we have to instill in our children that we don't have to have it all together. We don't have to do it all. We don't have to hold and carry the whole family. You know,
Absolutely.
and so I think that as we move forward, that in generations, I think I would love to see that for our community.
Me too. Me too. And it starts now. It
Yes,
starts at home. Yeah.
yes, absolutely. So we're going to go into our second commercial break of the evening, but stay tuned for more with our Davis.
Welcome to Season 4 of Be Bold. Why not? Get ready to make bold changes in your life with MJ Concepcion. Dive deeper into the discussions. Listen to the unstoppable voices of MJ and her guests, the legends and the rising stars. Join the celebration of talent, sports, passion, and the power of music. Tune in every Monday 7 p.m. Central, Tuesday, 8 a.m. Philippines. See you there.
In a world filled with fleeting moments, there's beauty waiting to be captured. My name is Christian, and I specialize in immortalizing your most precious memories. From elegant weddings to vibrant events and timeless portraits, I am here to make every moment unforgettable. Let me tell your story through the lens. Contact me today and let's create magic together.
Hey, everybody, welcome back to Pink Table Talks. Sorry, we're having a little bit of difficulties tonight. We're using the platform for our stream, so we're still working out some of the kinks. But we've been having such a terrific discussion tonight with Star Davis. We were talking about her most recent article on toxic motherhood and her experiences and her journey with her own mother and her own definition of what toxic motherhood is. So there's another quote from your article that I found very, very interesting, and it also stuck to me. And it was, I'm gonna find it. It said, the ultimatum arrives, this time from my mother's purple lips and not my abusers. Whew, that was really heavy. You know,
Yeah.
just knowing you and knowing your story, this really just, it just really hit me. Can you tell us more about that?
Yeah.
What?
And I'll definitely be really candid here. Um, I had an interstate custody battle, which but um, because I'm originally from Ohio and I'm in Texas, there's also a cultural gray area between my mother and I. There's so many gray areas where she doesn't understand because she's never had to go through something like this, where in Texas, parents are geographically restricted. You
Yes,
know, this is the
yes,
South. I
yes,
I am restricted until modified,
yes,
to live here because I have a child, and we have a case here in Texas, in Harris County, Houston. So, um, in my mother's perfect world, she's like, you should be able to come home.
yeah,
Your daughter's back. You've experienced a trauma. The court made a mistake. You should be released and you should be able to come home, and there shouldn't be anything left holding you back.
yeah,
But she doesn't understand these things are lingering, whatever. Like I mentioned, I moved on. I'm in a new relationship, and I've built a life here in Texas. Yes, because I've had to, but also because I believe God has something for me here. Um, that line hit me as well because it was kind of the stark truth that what was most toxic about my mother in that moment is that she was actually placing me back in a position that my child's father had put me in 4 years ago when
Mm,
when my child was born, you
mm.
know. And in that position is it's a possessiveness,
Yes. Wow.
so it's a sense of entitlement, a sense of feeling like, wow, someone really feels that entitled to speak on my life, and
Mm,
my inability to choose like is being taken from me,
wow.
again. And this time it's coming from my mom,
Yeah.
and um, that
Mm,
ultimatum from her hit a little differently because
mm,
actually what she insinuated was saying, you need to come home, was if you stay in Texas, this is all going to happen all over again. So
mm.
it was followed by almost her, like a really dark perspective over what happened to me. So
Mm,
she almost feels like you're better off avoiding the very thing that tried to take you out than facing it head on, because I don't believe you're strong enough to face it head on.
mm.
You
Wow.
know, and that hurt. So
Mm,
it's almost like what hurt most in that moment was her lack of faith
mm.
in the system, but also in me, like in my ability to stand my ground, which
Yeah.
is what I'm doing. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's tough.
Yeah, and you're doing a great job at that. When I met you and when I saw you going through everything that you went through, I always thought to myself, I don't know how she's surviving. I said, I really don't know. I said I would have been, off the deep end. I said, this is a supernaturally strong woman,
Yeah.
really, truly. And I would pray for you at night and I would think about you constantly. And boy, I even gained strength from watching you go through that and your resiliency, and now I see you are soft, like in a soft space, in
Yeah.
a beautiful space. And I love that for you. So you definitely are strong and you definitely are a woman of great, great faith.
And you would send me those Bible verses and just small words of encouragement. And believe it or not, they went such a far way. That was meditative for me.
Oh,
Um, and I realized after years of, again, thinking back to my relationship with my mother, thinking back to being a girl, being raised by a really strong and independent woman, my mother wasn't quick to give encouraging words. Even
yeah.
during that process of me getting my daughter back, she was not encouraging. Very, very afraid. My mother was just afraid. I actually had to encourage her during, and I would have to go, she's going to come home. God is going to do it. I would
Yes.
have to uplift the very person who I was waiting to uplift me. So again, just going back to you, you encouraged me, and I clung on to those words and those text messages. So thank you.
Oh, you're so welcome. It would be late at night too. That's when my brain starts to work.
You're right, because I will see them Bible verses come through at midnight.
And like, yeah, yeah. Yeah, what you doing up? I don't know. It's like at 9 o'clock, I'm out, and then at 2, 3 in the morning, or after midnight, I'm wide awake, and that's when my
I
brain
hear
goes.
you. Yes.
So I think it's just so so important that, we really uplift each other, especially in the community. I think that the tough love, that idea, it's good sometimes, but I feel like it's overused. I when I look at other communities and other ethnicities, I don't see that. They're very nurturing, they're very encouraging and uplifting. I mean, even for people who are like addicted, they're doing all they're criminal, they're doing all kind of, the mama still be like, oh, it's okay. Well, and then in our community, we're so accustomed to, oh, just whatever, and oh, you'll just kind of get over it. And to me, that's not helpful. It's really not helpful, and it causes us to then have to, like you said, encourage ourselves. We have to look in ourselves and be that pat on the shoulder, and be that encourager, and kind of hug and hold ourselves. And we have to kind of pull ourselves through these struggles and traumas, and so that's just all such a tough process.
Yes, absolutely. And I think how I try to kind of steer away from those stereotypes and falling back into that way of being is remembering that, again, my daughter's only 4, but she's like her most innocent, softest version of herself right now.
Yeah.
And I believe that I'm supposed to be that version too.
Yeah.
I'm not too keen on being a father, And I think there was a part of my mother who really did feel like I have to be both because their father is in prison right now. But I never, that's not for me. I don't want to be her father. Right. I want to be her mother, and I'm okay with that. So I kind of have to talk myself out of that sternness and that craziness that sometimes just comes with being a single mom, that need for, being a disciplinarian, that need for having structure. And I try to remember that God has graced mothers to give so much to their children through their love, through their softness, through their nurturing. And I ride on the coattails of that. I truly do. I go, you know what, God? The word literally tells us, if my mother forsakens me, if my father forsakens me, God will be my mother and my father, and I try to remember, she's going to have that guidance and that love, no matter what. But for me, I need to just be there. I just need to be present, and I need to be my authentic self.
Yes. And it's you can see it in her. When I last saw Heaven Lynn, and oh my God, she is just such a cutie pie. I'll tell you, I love that little girl. She is just so sweet. And I tell you, you could tell, I mean, this the saying is that you don't look like what you've been through.
Come on now. That's my warrior baby.
And I'll say that, when I see her, and she's just such a cute little petite little cutie pie, and you're doing a great job. You're doing a wonderful job, Mama. So pat yourself on the back, and know that you are doing wonderful.
Thank you.
So we're going to go into our last break of the evening, but stay tuned for more talk with Star Davis.
Tune into Legal Treats with attorney Eileen Legoat Dizon
every Friday at 7 p.m. Central Time.
Get your weekly dose of legal knowledge, especially on family matters like divorce, child custody, child support, estate planning, probate, and immigration.
Engage in discussions by posting your questions, comments, readings, or shoutouts.
See you every Friday at 7 p.m. Central Time.
That would be Saturday at 9 a.m. Philippines. Don't miss out.
Welcome back to Pink Table Talk. I'm your host, Dr. Carly D. The show is every Wednesdays live on Lawman Media Network, either through our YouTube channel or our Facebook Live page. And if you don't catch us live, you can catch us on over 15 different podcast platforms. Tonight, we've been having a very deep and interesting conversation with Star Davis on toxic motherhood. There's one last quote from your article that I wanted to share with our audience that just truly stood out to me, and I can resonate with it. It says, I go against all prerequisites for motherhood. I rewrite it every day. I am without her and on my own. And that I fear the rewriting, the undoing, purely and surely is the unknown of new motherhood, is what both scares and wounds us. Wow. You're just such a beautiful writer. Everything you say is just so poetic. It's just, and it just really touches my heart. Can you tell us what was the inspiration behind that? What is this rewriting of motherhood?
Yeah. Oh, wow. Sorry if I get a little emotional.
Yeah, that was heavy. That was heavy. That was heavy.
My mother taught me to survive life, and she never taught me to live it.
Ooh. Ooh. Wow. Okay.
and motherhood was something she told me to steer clear away from because it was such a hard road for her. And so becoming a mother, and when I say I go against all the prereqs, meaning I don't have that hard exterior.
Wow.
And I don't have the perspective that my mom encouraged me and my sisters to have when becoming a mother. Something that I don't deep dive into in this piece because it was just too loaded. But I tried to hint on it is the fact that because my mother did it alone, she's built a distrust for men. She's built a distrust for intimate and loving relationships. I never lost hope of that. Even though I come from an abusive situation, I never lost hope that there was a safe partnership out there for me. So that's come into my life and I embrace it. And this man has embraced me and my child as a package. And going with that is going against everything she taught me. So me rewriting this, and when I mentioned how being without her is allowing me to do it, is because I'm very naked in this situation right now. I don't have a guidebook. I don't have an image of my mother to look back on and model. I don't have a model. I don't have an idea or a clue what it is that I'm doing. I'm only going based off of what feels very healthy for me and my child. Call it mother's intuition. I really like to call it mother's intuition because I truly just feel this is the best route for me and my child. I look at her and I don't see myself. I just see an extension of a little girl who will one day be a grown woman and who deserves a certain level of nurturing, care, intimacy right now. Like she's demanding that right now. So each day is just a new adventure. It's a new obstacle, but I try handling it and going, what wouldn't my mother do in this moment? And what should I do? And I listen. I hug her. I hold her. My mother used to let us cry ourselves to sleep. I don't do that in this house. I hold her. I'm still a skin to skin. There is still something so electrifying about letting my daughter touch me and touching her and letting her feel my heartbeat and me feeling her heartbeat. There is still something about us being just as close as we were when she was in my stomach, and I'm giving her that. I'm still giving her all that I have to give. I was cut off from that after a while. By this age, my mom had cut me off from all of that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm rewriting by just embracing that unknown, even though it is scary and even though it's hurting us. I'm hurting without my mom's relationship right now. She's hurting without mine. We're at such odds, and I pray for her each day. I'm sure she'll come around, and I'm sure this will blow over. But for right now, change is hard, and change is scary, and people don't like change.
No.
But we will get through it. I have faith that we will. So the rewriting is embracing the change and knowing that I'm not my mother, and I'm not mothering my children the way she mothered me. I'm writing a new script.
Yes, I love that. That's so wonderful. And that is so powerful. And I'm just so grateful that you are sharing your thoughts, your experiences with the world. So, for everybody, read her article. It's called Notes on Erasing the History of Toxic Motherhood by the wonderfully talented and beautiful Star Davis. I just wanted to say thank you again for coming on my show today and speaking your truth and your experiences and being vulnerable with us. It is truly healing and just wonderful to hear your story again. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in tonight for Pink Table Talk. Be sure to catch us again next Wednesday at 7 p.m. Central, 8 o'clock Eastern Time on Lawwood Media Network, either through our YouTube or our Facebook page or on one of our 15 different podcast platforms. Remember, on Wednesdays, we think pink, and I will see you all next week. Thank you again for tuning in. Bye, everybody.